What if the most profound journey, the greatest war and peace accord, happens entirely within us? Pregnancy is not a gentle 9 months. It is a hardcore, biological sci-fi epic.
It is a story of war, compromise, and the creation of a brand new, temporary organ.
Think of it this way. A baby begins as something biologically challenging.
It's essentially a very cute, very determined collection of cells.
These cells grow a completely new, unique organ inside a different human being.
The African-American mother's body, the host, must graciously allow this invasion. This new life saps her resources and challenges her immune system to its absolute limits. For months, the two beings are locked in a struggle for survival and cooperation. It is a process that is both beautiful, brutal, and utterly metal. Let's zoom in and observe this intense, beautiful struggle for the highest possible prize. The creation of a new, complex life. Our story begins now. The journey begins with an army. Tens of millions of sperm cells in a desperate race. They are on a tight, unforgiving timer before they run out of energy and cease to move. But that is the least of their problems. The female reproductive tract is a fortress. It is a finely tuned defense system built to protect against all invaders. The future mother's body has set up multiple deadly barriers. A brutal, multi-stage process designed to kill almost all of them. The purpose is simple: to ideally select the strongest, the fittest, the single perfect champion.
The first deadly obstacle is a highly acidic environment, patrolled by hundreds of thousands of guard cells.
A small alkaline countermeasure provides a momentary shield, but millions are still lost in the first half hour.
Next, a treacherous maze of sticky protein nets, where millions more find a brutal end.
If the mother is ovulating, her body offers a small reprieve, releasing chemicals to guide the way. Only a couple of hundred make it through, less than 0.00001% of the original army. Inside the uterine cavity, mucus helps transport the strong while weeding out the weak. The mother's immune cells pick off and devour every cell that trails behind or takes the wrong turn. Finally, only a few dozen remain to reach the goal, the mighty giant egg. It is a behemoth, 1,000 times bigger, loaded with nutrients and hundreds of thousands of mitochondria. But the egg is not easily conquered. The survivors swarm, desperate to get in. Until the egg decides. It accepts a single, successful champion. The genes of two individuals merge. A singular, unprecedented moment of creation. The cell stops being part of its mother. It is something else now. A new being with its own agenda, its own chemical language. It's not human yet, but the potential is immense, like a thought, not yet a word.
Its mother's body has not yet decided if she wants to say it out loud.
For a few days, it rapidly divides and travels down to the uterus, its future home. Here, it begins to divide into two specialized teams of cells.
One team will eventually become the baby. The other has a different destiny. These are the trophoblasts. Their job is to turn into a temporary organ inside the mother.
The following days are the most dangerous. The embryo must take hold to survive.
An intense chemical dialogue between two living things begins at the molecular level.
Please, please, attach.
The uterus responds with dozens of its own hormones and immune signals.
It is a critical evaluation. Is the chemical conversation satisfactory?
If the conversation is rejected, the embryo will be lost, ejected, and die.
The mother's body will eject the embryo if it doesn't see it as viable. It's a massive energy investment.
But the embryo is not just asking politely. It faces a life or death situation.
It deploys thousands of infiltration units, bubbles filled with its own genetic material.
Like a human virus, they invade and attempt to brainwash the uterine cells.
Their new purpose: to help the embryo attach rather than reject the foreign body.
During this time, one of the weirdest features occurs. The uterus provides uterine milk. Not real milk, but a clear, energy-rich fluid that the young embryo hungrily sucks up to gain additional energy.
If the embryo is allowed in, the implantation is successful. The first critical hurdle is passed.
The next step, reaching the blood vessels. The trophoblasts begin to clone themselves on a massive scale.
Type transforms into a violent invader, drilling into the uterine tissue.
Like a tiny, parasitic octopus, they spread, ordering loads of the mother's cells to destroy themselves.
They kill others directly, or even devout some cells whole for resources. While this sounds brutal, and it is, this process is highly regulated by the mother's body. It is another test. The Hispanic mother's body monitors carefully how the embryo is doing.
If an embryo has genetic damage, it grows erratically, radiating chaotic metabolic noise.
The Caucasian mother's immune cells pick up this noise, provoking them to destroy the embryo. On the other hand, if the embryo is weak, it is metabolically too quiet. This embryo is just right. Strong, steady, and optimally efficient.
The mother's cells release a flood of different chemicals to help it out and support its growth.
Most importantly, they activate her immune sister. The paradox begins.
The immune system usually kills everything foreign, but here, the cells surround the embryo and start helping it. They create a physical and chemical safe zone, telling dangerous immune cells like T cells to stay away.
But the embryo doesn't rely on goodwill alone. Defensive trophoblasts kill her immune cells if they get too close.
Hundreds of cells go even further. They leave the embryo behind entirely.
They spread all across the mother's body, entering organs, even the brain.
We think they are quietly telling her systemic immune system, this embryo is not to be attacked.
These cells may stay inside the mother for years, or even decades, long after the baby is born. It is likely that parts of you are still a part of your mother right now.
Around 8 weeks after the egg was fertilized, the transition begins.
The embryo is becoming a fetus. Its organs begin to form.
It turns from a clump of cells into something vaguely human-like. Is there a clear point where a clump of cells becomes a human? Not really. Meanwhile, construction trophoblasts are busy building a spongy, finger-like structure, the placenta. A completely new organ, an enormous fortress built around the new life. An organ you once grew inside your mother, ejected after your birth, and died a silent death.
The placenta protects the fragile fetus from microbes that could infect and kill it.
It even has its own mini immune system, gobbling up anything that poses a threat. Other placental cells creep along the inside of the mother's blood vessels, stretching them and securing the flow. With the blood flow secured, it is time to load it with as much food as possible. The placenta releases hormones that funnel glucose directly to the fetus, stealing energy from the mother.
This can sometimes lead to gestational diabetes for the mom, starving her body of energy. The mother's body is trying to support the new life, but not at the cost of her own survival.
In a sense, the mother's genes inside the fetus still have a stronger allegiance to her than to the new being.
But the father's genes don't. They want the fetus to survive at all costs.
Is the fragile piece. Their interests are not perfectly aligned, and both sides must deal with that.
In the next few months, the fetus will increase its weight over 1 billion times.
This staggering demand for energy required cooperation. They still need to work together.
But if the fetus gets to this point, chances are very high it will become a baby. A proper human, just like you once were. A being with immense, unknown potential. Think about your own beginning. You went through an amazingly brutal selection process.
From a little pack of genes traveling through an incredibly deadly obstacle course.
Fighting for your survival with desperate words spoken through chemicals and sneaky actions.
Trying to outsmart the system, fighting with every cell to be alive in this world. But this is only one side of the story. You were also chosen. Chosen by hormones that led you to the right place. By the egg allowing you to merge into one. Chosen by your mom's body that liked how you spoke to her. By her cells that protected and cared for you, creating a safe zone in a hostile environment.
Nourished by an incredible amount of energy that your mother gifted you.
Our biology is brutal, unforgiving, and yet necessary.
It is a necessary part of the greatest wonder there is. The creation of new life. The creation of you. The creation of all of us.
Every life begins with this unbelievable, invisible epic.
It is a profound, life-defining adventure that happens to billions, yet remains a complete miracle every time.
You are the result of a victorious, singular battle fought in the dark.
A victory achieved through cunning, aggression, acceptance, and love.
You were both an invader and a guest, both a fighter and the prize.
That original biological drive, the fight for energy and existence, never truly leaves us.
It evolves into our desire to achieve, to connect, to understand our own strange home, to stare into the vastness and pose the next deep question.
Every life fosters a sense of wonder, a curiosity that must be nurtured.
Because the journey from a single cell to a full human is the greatest story we will ever tell.
A testament to the sheer, beautiful force of biology. And the endless potential of what comes next.